Where do you see the role of fossil fuels going forward?
Well, we have to outcompete fossil fuels. Now, to do that properly, they shouldn't get subsidies, and in fact, a carbon tax over time should be put on so that the new, say the electric car or the plane that use hydrogen, the fact it doesn't emit carbon, you're helping it get adoption. Those companies have skills, if you want to sequester carbon or, nuclear waste, or there's a lot of skills. If you want to make biofuels, some of those companies will take the capital and skills they have. So I wouldn't, say, okay, I wish they weren't there. People still, there's no country that can say, okay, we have zero emissions. People want to drive to work. In fact, the excess supply, when Russia cut off its supply, the world was sort of glad that was available. And so, yes, oil and gas needs to be outcompeted, and those companies need to join the effort.
I know you look at a lot of technologies and a lot of innovation, but is there one thing that you've been most excited about in the past 5 years, or that you're most excited about for the future? I know we talk about nuclear fuel. We talk a lot about the really big, exciting stuff. What are you excited about?
Well, I love all my children, and I have these 100 companies, and I never knew that we'd get a new way to make steel or cement or beef. It's fair to say that if we can get either nuclear fission or fusion to be safe and broadly accepted and very economic, because it's not weather dependent, it would be very complementary to the large amount of solar and wind that we're putting into our electric system. And so I'm biased. I'm a huge investor in both fission and fusion, and hoping that it comes in time. We can't count on it. Fission has been too expensive, and fusion doesn't exist yet.
But fusion, 15 years from now, what's your? I know it's a guess at the moment. But
well, of the 4 companies I'm invested in, one of them, Commonwealth Fusion, has a credible path. Things will have to go well. That in the late 2030s, they'd be making electricity and start to scale it up. So that's an aspiration, but it's a great company, and we have 3 others that aren't quite that early, but are within 5 to 10 years of that.
We're in a strange place in the planet right now, because there's a lot of unknowns. It's AI, it's technology, it's of course climate change. Do you find leaders distracted, or are they still putting climate change as some of their top priorities?
Well, we can't have as our only priority. We still need to buy vaccines and bed nets, and when there's a war, that properly demands attention, and even the aid budget, for those refugees and everything. It is, I wish there hadn't been a pandemic or Ukraine war or Middle East unrest. Those are going to take away from the amount of tension we have on continuing to make health progress and climate change. So, those are bad developments. If you'd only seen 10,000 people come, versus 35,000 last time, you might have said, wow, we are really getting distracted. Instead, twice as many came here, including a lot of the big businesses. So the signs I'm seeing are that while we still have to deal with those things, and we have limited resources, so we have to spend them well, that climate progress is moving ahead, even though we won't meet our highest aspiration.
Bill Gates, one final question on AI. How does that fit into your vision for?
Well, AI is such a powerful technology, and this recent advance where the AI can basically read and write, that's going to affect every human activity. And so we're using AI to find new drugs. We're using AI to look at climate change. And so all of our companies are going to move faster because AI helps them explore different solutions and move a lot better. So, certainly for challenges like this, AI is very much our friend.